Upgrades.
Hey, what's going on, William?
How you doing, Samuel? Pleasure to meet you, mate.
It's nice to meet you as well. I'm Samuel with JVS Media Productions. I'm just gonna let you know, man, I've appreciated your hard work over the years. I was a Black Lightning fan. I loved your work with Lala, your contribution to Lovecraft Country, and honestly, the last movie that you were in last year, 1001 as Lucky, you were amazing. That was one of the best movies last year, in my personal opinion. I think that you give 1,000% every single time you're in your roles, and I think that this role with Paul is no different. So I want to kind of talk about Paul real quick because Paul is a smart dude, and very, very early on, it seems like he's so important, but then some things shift very quickly.
Yeah.
But then as the show goes on, you realize how much of a puzzle piece it is, and that's the most engaging part. And I wanted to kind of get your brain on when you were reading the script and like, where are we going with this and your thought process of it. And then the second question I had, honestly, because the sixth episode is coming up next week, is one of my favorites. As an actor, what was the most satisfying but yet hard aspects of tackling a role like this? I know you give so much engagement in your performance, but it's also a huge undertaking every single time you perform. So I just wanted to get your opinions on both of those questions.
Well, first of all, thank you, brother, for seeing me and acknowledging the work. And I'm greatly honored and thankful for that. As far as, I guess I'll go to your second question, taking on the undertaking of the role. I believe roles choose you, you don't choose them. And once you lean into that, you allow yourself to escape. And Constellation, you know, the episode 106, I was just telling a friend of mine, most people haven't really lived with my artistry since Love Is, meaning the screen time. So you don't get a chance to really dive into all that God has gifted me to do. And when I read 106, I was like, wow, here's a chance. That not only that I can, you know, bring my art to the world, but Peter has given space for me to exist inside of a show called Constellation, and also in a bigger scale into the hearts and minds of humanity. And what do we deal with? How do we deal with grief? How do we deal with letting go? How do we deal with distance? How do we deal with space? How we deal with time? Because we hear it all the time, you know, I just need space. I don't have time. You feel so distant from me. So all these different things the human experience goes through. And I believe Peter Harness has just laid out the framework that we can have a conversation. And space is just the backdrop. Space reminds me of the subconscious. You know, it allows it goes straight through. And you see it in animation, you see it in sci-fi. Whenever they're trying to get truths to a person, they use something like space or animation for your walls to come down so they can actually speak to you. And that is the genius of Peter Harness. He's letting your walls come down and he's hiding it through sci-fi, but he really wants to talk to you. And Paul really wants to talk to you. Joe's character really wants to talk to you. And that's the goal of the series, in my opinion.
No, that's perfect. And then going back to the first question again, like as the show goes on, there's so many different threads that you don't really get the benefit of until later on. Like you're like, wait, this small little thing is a small, minute detail, but no, it's so significant as you go on. And so when you were reading that and reading the script, like kind of did he divulge all that to you ahead of time, or you just kind of had to go with the motions of where this was going? I'm just curious, like when you were reading it, like where are we going with this?
Yeah, I was more caught up in the emotional roller coaster that Paul was going on because I know that I can lean into that. But when I would go ask Peter or Joseph, hey, what is the thoughts behind this? What is the intention? Especially when I ask Peter, he'll go, you'll figure it out. And I realized, and I stopped asking questions because I'm like, oh, he wants it to be real for you. He wants you to be lost. He doesn't want you to know what's going on. And this is the first role that I portrayed where all of Paul's injuries showed up on me physically. Remember, all his injuries are on his left side, whether it's the head, the eye, the ear. I was going through hell in Germany, you know what I'm saying? But I know that those two worlds have merged, and it's a great experience for the viewer. So I'm just excited of all the awards that we win. I'm glad that we're #1. I'm glad that people are looking at it and valuing the art. And Numi does a great job of being our lead and carrying us to the finish line.
Yeah, we are covering it. Me and my co-host Vanessa, we're covering this show every single week, and we are in love with it. We've grown to just hope for more. So thank you so much
Yes.
for your contributions, William. Thank you for your role, Paul. We can't wait to cover more of this. All right. Thank you,
Oh
man.
man, thank you, brother. Thank you. And I really appreciate just sharing this space with you right now.
All right. You take care.
Okay, you too.
Falling out the top of the moon. I can see the skyline, 50-mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing on my mind. Oh Lord.